Hey guys, so we're talking about autism awareness in this collection, and I want to go over this great resource. It's on autismspeaks.org and it's called the M Chat. So if you Google Autism Speaks M Chat, you should be able to bring it up and you can take it for yourself. But I want to go through some of the questions, and the point of it is it's a modified checklist for autism in toddlers. And the point of this is to determine whether or not you should seek professional help. I want to preface it with, if you have an inkling, if you have that instinct that something's going on, talk to your doctor, seek out professional help. There is no harm in seeking out that help and then them reassuring you that everything's okay for right now. Maybe keep an eye on it, or maybe you're good to go. But really, really, really listen to that instinct. So it says that you will want to answer these questions to reflect your child's usual behaviors. This does not mean, if you've seen it once or twice, that doesn't really count. These need to be if your child does this often, because let's be honest, most children will do some of these things here or there, but if it's the consistency, if it's the norm, that's when it might raise a couple flags. So question one is, if you point at something across the room, does your child look at it? And it's that shared attention concept. Are they noticing where your attention is, and are they wanting to share in that? And then the next one is, have you ever wondered if your child might be deaf? This is interesting because, again, it goes to that attention. They may not, their hearing might be fine. You may have even gone through the process of having their hearing tested because you talk to them and they just don't respond. So if you've ever wondered that could be a red flag. Does your child play pretend or make believe? Like pretend to talk on a phone, or pretend to feed a doll or a stuffed animal. That one can be, they should be doing those things. They should be able to engage in that pretend play. Another question is, does your child like climbing on things, like furniture, playground, stairs? I'm assuming, I haven't seen the results here, I'm assuming that they should want to climb on things. Does your child make unusual finger movements near his or her eyes? Having worked with children with autism previously, this one was always such an indicator for me. If they do that. So a lot of this, they would like look at a light and look at their fingers in front of their eyes, and just to see that movement. Those kind of behaviors can indicate autism. Does your child point with one finger to ask for something or get help? Do they point to a snack or a toy that's out of reach? I'm assuming if they do not, again, are they using typical ways of asking for things? Are they like, they want that or they want that? That's a normal part of toddler development. Does your child point with one finger to show you something interesting? They see the big garbage truck go by and they point at it. Or is it more of like an all body expression, or an excitement kind of thing? Or do they point? I think it's interesting that a lot of these have had to do with something as simple as pointing so far. Is your child interested in other children? So does your child watch other children, smile at them, or go to them? This can be another indicator. If your child is not interested or involved in a lot of those peer relationships or familial relationships, that can be a concern. It doesn't mean, a lot of children are shy and reserved, but they're still, even the shy kid on the playground is watching what everybody else is doing. They're kind of analyzing it. They might smile at a kid in the grocery store. They might eventually decide to go play, but a lot of times, little ones with autism are in their own world, in their own space. So, does your child show you things by bringing them to you or holding them up for you to see? Not to get help, but just to share. Like showing you a flower, a stuffed animal, a toy truck. And again, it's that shared attention. Do they want to have that inner communication? Do they want to say, look, even if they don't have words yet, showing you something that they have and wanting to share in that enjoyment with you. If they are not, if on a consistent basis they don't want to share what they're doing with you, that could be cause for concern. Does your child respond when you call his or her name? So you want that if you call their name, you want them to look up, you want them to, stop what they're doing. And again, a lot of times toddlers are going to either purposefully ignore you, or they're so, my older son especially, like, he's so immersed in what he's doing that a lot of times he doesn't even notice what's going on. So there's some of that. But if it's a consistent, they're not really engaged in something, and they can hear you, and they're not purposefully ignoring you, that can be a cause for concern. When you smile at your child, does he or she smile back to you? Something that those of us who don't have children with autism, we take this for granted. We take it for granted that when we beam at our kid, that we get a smile back. When we say I love you, often we'll get an I love you back. Those are things that parents who have children with autism don't get to experience on a regular basis, and breaks my heart. Does your child get upset by everyday noises? So like a vacuum cleaner, loud startling noises, do they, it's one thing for like a baby to not like a vacuum cleaner, but as they grow up and start to understand where that noise is coming from, if it's beyond just like, ooh, and holding his ears or not really liking that, if it's like a meltdown, and if you're identifying there's certain things that you can't do while your child is around because they make certain noises, or they're going to result in a meltdown, that's absolutely an indicator that there could be something going on. And I should preface all of this with, it's important to consider that one or two of these things does not necessarily point to something. It's when there's a whole bunch of red flags put together that you really want to seek out professional help. Does your child walk? So in the toddler years, is development delayed in that area, or are they on track for this? Does your child look you in the eye when you're talking to him or her, playing with him or her, addressing him or her? That eye contact, again, is a really important indicator of whether or not there's something going on. Does your child try to copy what you do? So if you wave bye, do they wave bye back? If you play those games where you might do like certain clapping, will they clap back to you? If you turn your head to look at something, does your child look around to see what you're looking at? Again, shared attention again. Does your child try to get you to watch him or her? Watch me, look. Whether are they looking to you for praise? As often if you have a typical child, we commonly complain that like, watch this is just happening all day, every day. However, if that's missing, there could be cause for concern. Does your child understand when you tell him or her to do something? Like simple directions. Put the book on the chair. Can you bring me the blanket, please? These simple one-step directions, are they able to follow those even as a young toddler? Something new happens. Does your child look to you and your face to see how you feel about it? So, if you're in a different situation and there's like a loud noise, does your kid look to you for reassurance or to gauge how you are responding to this? Or somebody gives them a new food that they're not familiar with, do they look to you to see how you're reacting to it? If they're not looking to you, again, There's concern there. Does your child like movement activities, being swung or bounced on your knees? And this is a hard one because a lot of kids like these kind of movement activities. But if it's really excessive, really consistent, where they really need a certain input, whether that's, really tight squeezes, or they just want to swing on a swing all day, every day, and that's, that you just see the calming effect come over them, that can be cause for concern as well. So there are 20 questions there. So I ran through that. I'm curious to see if it'll kind of tell me those couple that I wasn't 100% sure on. We can see. And then the nice thing is once you submit, so I encourage you again, it's autismspeaks.org. You can search for MChat, and it then it gives you a risk score. After you go through the whole thing, it gives you a risk score of what's going on, and then it even points you to a list of resources in your area. You could print out the test if you'd like, so that way if you're going into your doctor, you can kind of say, I took this thing on Autism Speaks, and I feel like I should at least discuss it with you. It also says, it gives you indication of the risk score and at what point, is cause for concern. It's designed to screen for autism, so not necessarily other developmental issues or concerns, and it's also not a diagnosis tool. This is simply a resource for you guys to get a feel for what to look for, what to consider, what might be cause for concern. And if nothing else, maybe it can give you a little bit of peace of mind, or it can point you in the right direction. So I encourage you to check it out if you have concerns about your own young child. Like, for this one, this is for toddlers. So if you're concerned about your young child, or if you have a friend or family member who might be having some concerns, this is a great resource to point them in that direction. And I'll be sure to link the modified checklist for autism in toddlers. I will link that below as well, so you can go grab that. But I wish you the best, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions for sure. Good luck.